Alright, so today we're going to be looking at the Irish Republican Army, or the IRA, and Soviet Union, help, or collaboration. So from here, we're going to be looking at the Irish Revolutionary Period first, though. So during the Irish Revolutionary Period, the Soviets were supportive of the Irish efforts to establish a republic independent of Britain, and was the only state to have relations with the Irish Republic. During the 1916 Easter Rising, Vladimir Lenin spoke of it positively, calling it a decisive blow against the power of English imperialism. In 1920, Roddy Connolly, the son of the socialist Republican James Connolly, who was executed by firing squad in the aftermath of the Easter Rising of 1916, visited Lenin in Russia. Lenin informed Connolly that he had read his father's books, Labor and Irish History, and that he rates him head and shoulders above the other European socialists. In 1920, a secret loan deal was reached between the proclaimed Irish Republic and the Soviet Union. Russian crown jewels were given to the Irish Republic in exchange for $20,000, the equivalent of $250,000 today. The jewels were not returned for another 3 decades though, so who knows who got them? Maybe Paddy got them. Maybe spent it on Guinness. Who knows? The same year, Patrick McCurtain traveled to the Soviet Union, hoping to secure formal recognition for the proclamation and the proclaimed Irish Republic. However, the Soviets refused, as they were hoping to improve Anglo-Soviet relations because, I feel a war coming on and I feel you might sit it out. I don't know, you might be in or out, so I just want to ally that, could actually be in the fight with me, Nothing personal, just, I don't know, man. You might send volunteers, you might shoot down some SS planes. I don't know, man. I don't know. Alright, so from here we're going to be looking at 1925 and onward. This is past the Revolutionary Period and pretty much into the early, 20s and, mid-20s and into the Troubles. So, in 1925, a 3-man delegation containing Gerald Boland, Paul Murray, the most Irish man I've ever heard, which is also the leader, and Sean Russell, traveled to the Soviet Union. They went in hopes of receiving financial support and weaponry from the Soviet Union. Murray had a meeting with Joseph Stalin in which he reached a mutual beneficial agreement. The IRA would spy for the Soviet Union in the neighboring countries of the United Kingdom and on the United States of America. I got a friend named Josephine, and she's actually in Boston, that's in the state of Massachusetts, And she was like, oh man, they're doing this and doing that, I don't know. But, she's my cousin too, so, she tells me everything. In exchange for their support for the Soviet Union's strategic goals of spying, the IRA would be paid £500 a month. The agreement was a very closely guarded secret for the Irish, and no explicit written mention of it was made except in code. Despite this agreement, some of the IRA had little regards for the Soviets. Moss Toomey said, "These people are so swifty, they're out to exploit us. Except for urgent need for cash, I would not be so keen in this agreement." Frank Aiken called the Soviets a bunch of hopeless bunglers. Alright, my Irish subscribers, please tell me what a bungler is. Please tell me what a bungler is. I hope I didn't say a slur, but, please tell me what a bungler is. In November 1926, the Soviets decreased payments to the IRA from £500 a month to only £100 a month. How are we going to buy Guinness for the whole crew now? This is a sham, man. Their cited reasonings, the Soviets, were both the low quality of work on the IRA's part and the ongoing financial crisis in the Soviet Union. Even though we came out of the Great Depression better than ever, we gotta cut some things, physical spending and that, The IRA had a monthly operating cost of £400 a month, so this was a major financial blow to the organization and to the operation. IRA man Andy Cooney went to London to meet with the Soviet intelligence officer there, but he had little success, trying to pressure the Soviets for additional funds. IRA volunteers were eventually ordered to withhold and even withdraw the amount of intelligence provided to them. In 1927, in May, the Soviets handed over £1,000, but it soon ended up severing ties with the IRA altogether. Until the Troubles. So, it's a very divisive conflict, and it is going to be met with some delicacy, but we see how far we go. We see how far we go with the Troubles, okay? Now the troubles. The official IRA. Alright, so we got to everybody's favorite part of the video, the troubles. And before we start the troubles, we have something interesting to say. There is the official IRA, which is IRA, which are the more political wing. They're still a very Marxist, very political organization, but they go the parliamentary route while still doing some urban guerrilla stuff. And then there's the provisional IRA, or PRIA, and these are the more radical factions and the more violent faction, which from the split happens. So the PIRA is the one that's doing kind of the, car bombings and stuff like that. So there's two different IRAs in this time, but we're going to be focusing on the official IRA because the PIRA had more relations with like Gaddafi's Libya and North Korea and stuff like that. So the troubles, the most controversial part of the video, and we're going to keep it that way and not get more controversial. Now the official IRA, or ORA, there's two IRAs. We'll deal with PIRA next time, or the provisional IRA, had relations with the Soviet Union, and during the troubles they were supplied by the Soviets. An Irish diplomat in Moscow once wrote that Ireland provided the Soviets with a convenient stick in which to beat the West with. Assistance from the Soviet Union began in late 1972, when Yuri Andropov, who was the head of the KGB, and later became the General Secretary of the Soviet Union before he died a year later, authorized weapon shipments to the IRA. On the 21st of August 1972, Andropov, who presented a plan known as Splash to the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. It entailed the plan for the operation of a shipment of weapons to the Irish Friends. 2 machine guns, 70 automatic rifles, 10 Walther pistols, and 41,600 cartridges were sent. The pistols were lubricated with West German oil, and packaging was taken from several countries around the world by KGB agents, so that the weapons could not be traced back to them and the Soviet Union, and have plausible deniability. Yay. The weapons were brought to Ireland using the ship known as the Reductor, or the Reductor. The official IRA members also traveled to the Soviet Union for training as well, both politically and militarily. But with that being said, that's pretty much the end of the video, man. And with that, man, we're gonna have a nice little shot of Guinness and we're gonna call it a night. But thank you all for watching, and hope you enjoyed and learned something. The Irish have a language called Gaelic, and I will be attempting to butcher that language today, if the Google Translator allows me. If there's no Gaelic, it'll just be a learn something from Dublin or something. I don't know. Like, let's see if they have Gaelic, man. But if they don't, you know the words, man. You know the words. Yeah, I'm looking for the Gaelic right now. Hello. Is it Gaelic? Gaelic? Oh, right, there is Irish Gaelic. Okay. Foglim Rud Iglen. Foglim Rud Ingling. Or learn something. Anyway, with that being said, Patty O'Connell. I'll be seeing you next time, Sean O'Connell. And until next time, I'm gonna talk to old Patty from Boston. She's a pretty good lad. She's my third cousin, twice removed. She was actually born in Burberry. Yeah. Anyway, with that bad Irish pun aside and bad joke aside, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And until next time, more controversial stuff. Maybe next week we're going to talk about the provisional IRA, talk about Gaddafi, talk about the Agadir Strip, talk about the Sand War. I don't know, man. Whatever comes to mind. But anyway, until next time, bye-bye.